This past Sunday at Talladega, we saw NASCAR fans split in a lot of ways, and a lot of fans were not happy with how the racing went. And all the way to Tuesday, the talk about this continues to rage on. This time, though, it's not sparked by what the fans are saying or even drivers, but what members of NASCAR themselves are saying. Now, this is a quote that was taken today from NASCAR Sirius XM Radio with Elton Sawyer, where he talked about what had happened at Talladega, the response to it, and this is what he said. Listening to Elton Sawyer on Sirius XM NASCAR this morning, quote, "You have 67 lead changes amongst 23 drivers. So when we look at all of that, what are we trying to fix?" I just don't know what to say anymore, says at Team KFB Fan 8. And I will say at KFB Fam 8, I feel the same way. Now, we do need to think a little bit critically here. NASCAR execs are not going to go on NASCAR run media and say, man, the car sucks, right? They know. I know they know. I cannot be convinced otherwise that they don't know what's going on right now with the Superspeedway package isn't great. But this right here, this is not the way to go about it. This is not the way to try and make that point. Because why? Well, we saw it with our own eyes. We see it with Jeff Gluck's poll being under 50%. My poll, which is generally a bit more positive, is barely over 50% positive for it. And we've seen the Superspeedway package over the years be more and more rightfully criticized, especially at Daytona and Talladega. And what he says here, I think that numbers like these at Superspeedways only scratch the surface of if a race was good or not, because numbers, while they never lie, they may not tell the story from the right angle. And what do I mean by that? Well, 67 lead changes, 23 drivers. On face value, that's awesome. It is. It's awesome to say that number. After all, that is 21 away from the all-time record, not only at Talladega, but NASCAR history. But here's where you need nuance with it. Number one, the package promotes the fuel saving side of it a little bit because of the way that track position is important. And because of that, because of how important this strategy is, you're going to have guys that are going half, quarter, three-quarter throttle, depending on where they're at. And you're going to have lead changes that way, just because nobody wants to be breaking the air and be the one that is basically making the most power having to go the same speed. You use up more fuel that way. So in that respect, the fuel saving part inflates this number a bit. The package itself and how it races when they go all out, generally in two lines, that I think inflates this number. Because instead of having guys slingshot around, instead of having guys make bonsai moves for the lead, what do you have? You have two cars that are side by side and they're just going back and forth over and over again. So somebody that led on the bottom one lap might not get the run out of the tri-oval the next, and that guy up top gets their nose ahead at the line. That is a lead change based on NASCAR metrics for it. That is inflating the number of lead changes. On the other end of this is that we did have green flag stops and cycles, and because of that, you do have lead changes because they're not all coming in together. It's the same thing at intermediates or short tracks. If they had long green runs that get a lot of lead changes, because those lead changes come when the field is completely shuffled. When guys are down pit road, other guys stay out longer. When others are trying to get up to speed and they get past, different aspects like that. Lead changes in the amount of drivers at Superspeedways, especially, I think, is kind of inconsequential to whether or not a race is good. Superspeedways, I think, more than anything else, I think one are the eye test, which is why so many people, I think, like the 4-wide fuel saving side of it. It looks cool. Let's be honest. It does. It looks really cool. But once you know under the surface what's going on, it's not really as cool anymore. It's basically just the single file train, except now you have 4 trains that are going even slower than they were before. So there is that. And to me, the numbers that you need to probably look at is what's been going on here. Fox got 4.041 million viewers for Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series race at Talladega, down 6% from last year. And Also, with that, you have to note too that Talladega is the final network TV race for NASCAR in Cup until August 23rd at Daytona on NBC. And a lot of these super speedways, you have 2 at Daytona, 2 at Talladega, 1 with Atlanta. 5 of the 9 network TV races this year are super speedway races, which to me says they're really, really pushing that to try and bring in the viewership numbers. And all of this together, I have to say, it's not looking good. Now, again, they're not going to bash their car, but they could have said it in different ways. For instance, they could bring up the numbers, but say, you know what? We are always striving to be better. Use some corporate ease that we'll all roll our eyes at, but at least know that you're trying to hide with it. With this just seems like pure denial to anyone reading it at face value. And I think you're going to see some changes soon. I don't see how you can't. Super Speedway racing, because of where it's been put on the schedule, for instance, cutoff races late in the playoffs, the Daytona 500, unfortunately for many people, is the most important form of racing in NASCAR right now. Short tracks are great for the diehard, but super speedways bring in those big numbers. Yeah, 4.041. That is the lowest Talladega numbers for spring that hasn't been rained out I think I've ever seen, but it's still one of the highest viewed races of the year and will be in the top 5 to 7 this year. No problem at all. Probably top 5 easily, honestly. And you need to have that be entertaining, and not just entertaining by the eye candy factor, but entertaining by the racing factor of it. Teams, drivers, fans, media, we're all saying the same thing here. And don't get me wrong, I think part of this outcry is more or less because we have had really, really dull racing the past couple races. Darlington, Bristol, Martinsville, now Talladega. 4 races that should be absolute bangers, knock it out of the park, easily the best races of the year, are completely forgettable. Instead of looking forward to these classic races now, people looking forward to Kansas and Las Vegas and, yeah, okay, Atlanta, but for different reasons than before. They're not looking forward to the bread and butter races that used to get fans excited early in the season. And don't get me wrong, this is not, I think, Talladega-wise, the worst race I've ever seen at the track. Honestly, that 2018 fall race, I think, was a lot worse, mainly because it was just 4 cars that dominated easily, and had fuel not been involved, they all would have finished 1, 2, 3, 4, and there'd be no competition. But we've had worse Talladega races than this before. Honestly, in the next gen era, I would say that this is probably the best Talladega race we've had, if not one of the best, which is not saying much. And I again bring this up, the TV numbers. This is the 4th straight year it's been down. And what does that coincide with? The next gen car. I think this is a metric you can look at way more than this. Because with this, you're looking at how people respond year over year, years over years. You're not looking at just a one-off here and there. Maybe something else was on, maybe rain, maybe whatever. There's no excuse. Down 6% for Talladega, down 14% in 4 years. Every next-gen race being lower viewed than the next at Talladega. I think that speaks volumes. I think it speaks volumes way more than any lead change number could. I know it's probably sounds like me complaining again, but I think this is all true, and it's getting blatantly obvious. Changes need to be made. They might have small ones by the end of the year. I hope so, at least by fall Talladega, especially as late in the year as it is. But at the bare minimum, can we have something done, a major swing testing beforehand, especially for the 2026 Daytona 500? Because we're now going to be going on year 5. And if there's no major changes made, at this point, it's just pure complacency by the teams and by NASCAR themselves. And fans should rightfully be pissed. And some of them, maybe a lot of them, will just stop watching. And I don't want to see that. So that's my thoughts on it. What do you think of what Elton Sawyer said? I get that at face value, it's bad. I know he probably doesn't mean everything with it, but it's just pretty bad, honestly. I know I just said face value bad, but it's just bad in general. Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like in this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.